All right, hi, and welcome to the Jess and Scott Show. This is our second episode, and we are going to talk about being selective in where we engage and participating fully where we choose to engage today. And before we get started, I wanted to take a few minutes and say this is my water. You will see me drinking my water, and I have a very old clean canteen with my logo actually starting to fade away. I am a big fan of metal containers, and I'm a big fan of water. I mean, look at all of this stuff. So if you see me drinking during the episode, you just know I'm staying hydrated, so I have a great voice to continue to talk with you. You may say Scott also taking a sip now and again. We'll have to ask him if he's going to even share or if he's going to be very secretive about what he's going to be drinking.
Oh, thanks a lot. You called me out last week with the Seattle weather, and now you want me to reveal my secret drink? Scotch.
You
Well,
don't. Okay.
just,
Well.
just.
Oh. Ooh.
I think we should go into the open, don't you?
Let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if we can. Let's see if we can pull this thing off. Take it away, Jess.
All right. So there are a lot of things that come up around this topic, and it's really interesting to talk about because there are so many tangents that it could take. So we may take a few tangents from our original idea of what the discussion will be. I think that when it comes down to, where are you engaging and where are you participating and how fully you are there, it comes down to, are you a specialist or a generalist, and what your position on that topic is. So for me, I think about being more of a specialist. So in the field that I am in, it's very important to know a lot of things and to know a lot about a lot of things, but in the end it all comes down to strategy and how do you use that knowledge and those resources to build a strategy. And I am still working on my 10,000 hours to become a true to make it a true art form as a part of who I am and have it come so naturally that I become the master of that. So whether you're thinking about the mastery when you're Michael Gerber in the E-Myth talks about, or when you're thinking about the 10,000 hours that it takes to have something become that much a part of you by Malcolm Gladwell, all of those things require some sort of specialty, and what that means today and where it's going and with the media that is available to us, how that might change for us is a whole other topic. So, Scott, do you have anything that you would like to add about the idea of the topic that we have tonight?
If you're going to be a private entrepreneur, you can't give away the store by just letting someone else do the work for you. You at least have to trust but verify, and you know enough about the books so that you can do due diligence. And in that regard, you've got to be a generalist. You've got to know a little bit about everything. If you're not freelance, if you are very focused in on what you're doing, then you got to have that support system around you. And that's oftentimes your role in a family, and sometimes that's just you're hired in and you don't have to worry about payroll and you don't have to worry about HR or publicity, things like that, because you're specializing in this widget. So there's no magic bullet, but boy, if you grow up and you don't know how to make a living with something that's tangible, then you're going to be in trouble financially. And if you grow up and you don't have a liberal education of some sort, then your mind is going to be, and your spirit is going to be in trouble. So how do you sort that out, Jess?
I tell you what, I think we need to come back just a little bit.
Did I go beyond the mission? Is this
No,
mission creep?
actually, but you case in point. This topic is so big, Scott, and how many different ways that we can take it. So if we were thinking about the Renaissance person and we're thinking about whatever role we're in, especially as an entrepreneur, and I'm going to stop for a minute. I'm hearing myself echo. I don't know if you hear me echo, Scott.
Just a smidge.
Just a
So
smidge. Okay, let me try and put this on while I'm talking, and we'll see if this fixes it. We'll see if it's me. So when we're thinking of a Renaissance person and we're thinking about all of the different things to that we have available to us in what we're trying to do, whether it's sequentially or at the same time, we want to make sure that we're taking the time to think about the strategy. And so I want to come back down because we should all get our favorite beverage, and whether it's in real life or whether it's on a hangout, I think we need to explore that where you were taking us, Scott. I was thinking about social media tonight. Oh,
Well,
goodness.
we've got to bring it back to social media. And so can you put us back on track?
Let's see.
How does this apply to social media?
Well, when we're thinking about a generalist versus a specialist, when we hear a lot of people say, go out and grab your real estate, go get your page here and your profile there and have these profiles everywhere so you're where the people are. That's great, but if you're not really engaging on any one of them or engaging on all of them just a teeny tiny bit, how do you provide value to having a community in any one of those places? And so that's where I think it's an interesting conundrum and a little bit of an art form when we're thinking about we've got to be a generalist because we have to be where the people are. At the same point in time, we have to be a specialist because we have to be able to cultivate and build these communities, and that takes time and energy. And when all is said and done in the end, when the resources is the amount of time, each person has a certain amount of time to work with, however many people you have on your team creates opportunity for more resources. That's what determines how much time you get to spend on an activity to grow your business.
Pick the one or two platforms or places in social media that are going to be most valuable for you, and don't try and go on to a third or fourth one until you're comfortable with those two. So the key is what? To make sure that you pick the right one first.
And how do you know which is right? That's like the chicken and the egg.
It feels like this would be a good time for us to go to one of our
I
video
agree.
inserts because
Yeah.
Ronnie Benser, who is the king of Hangouts, advises people just on this very topic. And everyone who knows anything about Google Plus and Hangouts knows that Ronnie's a real fan of what we're doing and in this platform. But what do you do if your client has a Facebook following? And more important, what if they're on Facebook and they don't like Google Plus or they don't know about Google Plus? What do you do then? Well, let's see what Ronnie says about that. Here we go.
This particular client realizes the future for them is in Google Plus. So they're trying to bring some of their people over and they're having a struggle with that. And so what I did for them is I encouraged them. We started with plan A, and then we are now on plan B. We will eventually get back to plan A, but we have to be flexible enough to realize that if the followers don't follow, you need to change your plan to get them to follow. And so what they were running into is the inability for the non-techie people in Facebook to feel comfortable coming over into Google Plus because for them it seemed too technical.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and so what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a compromise place where they can still see some of this Hangout on Air activity, because this is the client base that I'm working with. Is they're wanting me to help them with the Hangouts and how to integrate that. And so we're doing Hangouts on Air, and we are promoting the middle ground, and the middle ground right now is YouTube. Okay, because the Facebook people are still comfortable using YouTube. They don't have to come over to Google Plus and figure out all the nerd stuff. They can just say, okay, I'll watch a video on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So we've shifted from encouraging people to watch their live shows inside Google Plus to encouraging them to watch their live show on YouTube. It's still promoted inside Google Plus. We still say, if you want more interaction, find us on Google Plus, and here's how to find us. But we're less pushing right now. Yeah. You got to come into Google Plus to watch it, and we're really trying to capitalize on the fact that YouTube is sort of this connector. Yeah. For a lot of people on the outside.
That's really neat, Scott, and that makes me think it reinforces the fact that if we are limited on bandwidth and we have to choose where we're going to cultivate our communities and where the people are that we're trying to reach, that we have to go where the people are. First and foremost, and we have to take the time to learn where those people are. And then once we have established communities, we will have the opportunity to expand out, to get them And actually, really, what are we do? What was Ronnie talking about? He was talking about mass educating your following into being willing to interact with you in other places. So finding that middle ground and that path to say, here's my community, this is where you are, and I love you, and we're going to stay right here. And I'm also going to be over here, and I want you to come see me over here.
That's brilliant, Jessica. I had not, until this moment, I hadn't got quite that deep of meaning out of what Ronnie was saying and about this conversation. But when you talk about community relationships, it's as if you as the entrepreneur or the business and you create this community around you, well, they're around you because of a reason, because you're their leader. You're a thought leader, but you're also leading them or educating them in terms of some of the other possibilities. And you and I already know the secret, and that is that a lot of the things in Google Plus are more powerful than other platforms because Google is around organizing things, whereas Facebook is around people and relationships. And much of what a community really would want to prosper in would be in the fertile ground of Google Plus. There's been so many people who don't want to have to learn one more platform. So you have an obligation to meet them halfway, to know them, to meet their needs, but then once that trust is up, maybe you can shepherd them to new grounds.
Mm-hmm. And still take advantage of the business opportunity in the immediate realm for what you're trying to do and to reach other people in other places.
Sometimes called "don't shoot yourself in the foot." So.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's neat, and I'm curious, and the one thing that we don't know about the story was the community where the middle ground was YouTube, was the company whose community it was he or she even ready to take that leap and try and do this, or were they a little bit hesitant, and could that have had something to do with the hesitancy of the community?
In another part of the interview, I think Rodney was talking about how the company, his client, really wanted to be on Google Plus, but just, and they struggled with Plan A, and then when Plan A just didn't work, what do? They came up with this Plan B. I know that this next segment is something that we planned for the second half of our show, but the title, Why Use Google Plus Even If Your Fan Base is on Facebook, I'm wondering if we should play that now instead of...
I think we should. It fits. It's where our conversation is going.
I think so. So let's see if we can do this.
And if you are forward thinking, and I'm very biased with this, by the way, if you're forward thinking, you should be spending your time on Google, and here's the reason why. Google Plus. The reason why is I simplify to bring it down to the most simple statement I can say. If Google is important to your business, then look at how do you spell the words Google Plus. Okay, and that's it. For the average business person that understands search a little bit, they get it, and they're going to realize, okay, this is where I need to start spending my time, even though their main fan base may be somewhere else. They might be currently on Facebook. Did people find out about them from friends to friends to friends? Yes. So there's still value there. But are the new people looking to find you through their friends, or are they looking to find you through search? And if they're finding you through search, then you probably ought to be on Google Plus, and you probably ought to start learning how to use it efficiently for a business.
And I think that's key. And and whether, yes, Google Plus is important, and while it's important to every business for all of the reasons that Ronnie was talking about, it might not be where a company starts, but where does it fit into the longer term strategy? And then as part of that longer term strategy, how do you encompass other things that might come along that are equally as important to the success of the business online? So I think that there's, when we think about, in the end, it's all got to be about value. We have to have a reason for people to want to listen to us and interact with us and engage with us. And we have to be specialists enough to get their attention and specialists enough to keep their attention. And so I'm wondering if the specialist and generalist it's almost like every layer of business. Where can you be a generalist and where can you be a specialist? Are you going to be a specialist in the products and services that you offer? Are you going to be a specialist in the marketing that you're doing? Are you going to be a generalist and try and be everywhere and surround yourself with people and hope these communities are doing what you want with the information that you have to share? And it actually turns out this, I think, is a bigger topic even than we tried to narrow it down to.
Once things settle down and everyone knows what the rules are, I can see where a business person could say, okay, I know what it is. I know if I need to hire someone, or I can do it myself because here it is. It's something that's agreed upon, and we have enough experience that we can predict it. Things are changing so fast now that those of us who are trying to pay close attention to Google Plus are winded. We're running so fast to keep up with it. During this time of transition and revolution, a small business who can get an agency that really understands Google Plus, or an individual, hey, bring in help so that they can establish themselves now, or say, look 6 months or a year in the future and say, I'm not going to be able to establish myself in 2013, but boy, by June of 2014, I want to be there. I want to have my community, and I want to be ahead of all of my competition. They do that now, that'll happen. If they wait till June of next year, then they're going to be still on the train station.
Dude, marketing online and the new media, it's all about being on the fringe and figuring out how to do it to work for you, because you've got to be so different. I mean, if we're all playing by the same rules, what makes us different? What makes people want to listen to me and you over any other show out there?
You've got to have contrast. That's the first step, and then the second step is it's not enough just to be different. There's got to be something there, some value there. Mm-hmm. Google is running too. They're throwing stuff out there just in time. They are operating on internet time. Yes. And a month from now they're going to come out, I read, with Google Help. Okay, a whole new platform where people can make money by offering their services. And that's going to change the land. I mean, that's going to be a sea change as well. So, and within 2 months, those who are on the leading edge are going to have gobbled up all of the great real estate, and everyone else is trying to catch their breath on Google Hangouts or even just the latest iteration of Facebook.
And that's where it becomes a little bit more overwhelming, and we feel as entrepreneurs we kind of get sucked away from our craft because there's so much to do with the marketing. That how do we do that? And I actually think that requires a good hard look, and you made a very good point. Whether somebody does it themselves, or they get a coach to help them, or they choose an agency, that those people, the people that they choose to surround themselves with, are the people that need to be on the periphery of that team and that support. And so whether they're on staff, or whether it's collaboration, or whether it's just a networking group, wherever that support is coming from, everybody gets to specialize in their own craft and bring these ideas together, and how everybody can help each other in their own niche markets. And it really reinforces the fact that a niche market is necessary for someplace like this to grab where, well, it's a real estate grab. It's like the Wild Wild West in some respects, right? I think of the TV show Firefly, Cowboys in Space. I mean, for this, this is what we're embracing and where we're going, and it's a really fun ride, and it's also, it can be overwhelming and scary, and surrounding yourself just by being able to have somebody to talk to or reach out to, like you and me, right? Just come to our page and say, hey, we're thinking about this. If we don't know the answer, we're okay saying we're going to find it for you.
You and I both love this. We just can't get enough of it. Can you imagine someone for whom, who lives a real normal life, and they have to come in and figure this out? And sure, it'd be fine a little bit, but I can't imagine anyone trying to double task.
I know, I can't either.
It's today's life. We're going through we're going through an honest to goodness revolution. So are we in the second part of our show yet?
We're actually ready. That was a really good segue. So I was going to say, everybody put on your floaties, and we're going to go into the +2 takeaway for today's show, where we're going to talk a little bit more about differentiation. Voila! That's fabulous.
Go for it, Jess.
Okay, so when we're talking about this, will you cue up the Prezi presentation too?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, I think we're ready.
All right. So what I wanted to bring to the +2 takeaway today was the opportunity to differentiate, and using social media as a starting point, as a way to figure out what can we, what could we do easily, quickly, maybe in a 25 or 30-minute exercise that will give us a chance to at least simmer on some of the possibilities of where differentiation can really help us when it comes to social media and what that might look like. So while we're thinking about this, I really wanted to take it super simple, and I got out my pad and paper last night, and I was preparing for the show, and I drew a graph, and it's a very simple graph, and it says you in the top left corner, because we in our own businesses, that's what the focus of everything we've got going on. Everything needs to revolve around that. And then we want to talk about our top 3 competitors, who we feel is the most like us in the niche market that we are. Not who we're trying to be, not where we're trying to be, but in our niche market for the clientele we have or the people we're advertising to, who that is. And by the way, this exercise could also be something that we use for different market segments that we might be focusing on too, in regards specifically to competition. So we've got our graph, and then the next piece is, where are they? Where are you? If we're thinking just about social media, where are you on social media, and why are you there? Most importantly, why did you get into that space in the beginning? Okay? And then look at the competition that you have decided is most like for what you're doing and what you're working on this exercise. And just kind of see, where are they at? What are they doing compared to what you're doing? What's the same? What's different? And then when we look at the next slide, we're actually able to we actually want to take it one step further. Not only are they different from where we are in our own business, but how are they the same? Because the sameness is the stuff we need to scratch out with big black markers and say, okay, so here's where they're different. And so how can I be even more different than they are? Because I know I don't want to be the same as them. And when we move to the next slide, it allows us to take a step back and go, okay, so why did I do this already? This is really hard. Did I really commit to 25 whole minutes of actually trying to figure out where I should be and what makes me different? I can't do this in 25 minutes. Well, you're right. You probably can't, but it'll give you a starting point, because the next slide really will be a reminder of, when we know what everybody's doing the same, we can take that out of the equation, and we know we're not playing in that field. When we look at what's left and what everybody does differently, maybe we can understand the reasons for that. And we might even be able to glean, with just a little bit of research of what we can see online, to find out how successful this might be for each of our competitors. Then we can say, okay, so I know what they're doing, and I know why I'm different, and I know why I'm better, and I know why I connect with my clients better, and I know why some people that might use my service are choosing to use their service. So how do I communicate my message that much more uniquely? And that's the starting point for walking away from the end of your 25 to 35-minute exercise and letting that simmer and work in the back of your brain. Because when we get to the next slide of this little presentation, we need to really think about that. And when we're looking at the opportunity for our business, and we're looking at our particular niche and the social media adoption, and it could be any platform that you want in there, it's always going to be going up at some level. As an industry, we kind of take each other with us along the way, because somebody does something and somebody else copies, and then somebody else gets it, and then we have more people. So you've got this general upward motion, and then that squiggly line on my arrow there, it's all about some people are going to do more at the beginning, some people are going to do less. It doesn't matter where they're at, it's still that general upward trend. So the big area for opportunity is, what's going to make you the most different, what's going to make you the most unique, and what's sitting above that line, because everything below that line is the same. We don't want to be there. We want to be, where is it different, and what can we take away in that respect. And so then when we go to our next slide, it just really brings it home. It's hard work. And if nothing else, working through this exercise really shows, it takes out what you don't need to be focused on to show you what's left, to try and let things percolate up, to be in that playground, and be really honest with yourself. You don't want to be like everybody else, because then you're just doing what they're doing, and if it comes right down to it, depending on what you're trying to do, if it comes down to price and you're not the cheapest, you know, that's the way that it goes. So how are you building the experience? How are you building what's around you in this community? So be authentic, do the hard work, and really take the time to figure out what would be different to reach your audience effectively.
Wow. Well done, Jess. Well done.
Thank you. So that was the +2 takeaway for today, and that actually took me a little bit longer to go through than I had practiced, so I'm really glad. So what did you think about that? You know, Scott, was there anything that stood out to you, or that you thought of while I was talking?
Yeah, well, I'd not seen the presentation before, and I remembered there's nothing new under the sun in a lot of regards, because when I was growing up, there were always these commercials on TV, right? And it was always new and improved.
Yeah.
And, you know, a very good, person who's very near and dear to me would say, when she was growing up, if it was so new and improved now, what were they selling us before? But you're entirely right. You know, it has to be different, and especially nowadays, people are looking for something that is just perfect for them or just right for them, and you know what is different. And if you don't differentiate yourself from the crowd, then how can they find you? How can you
That's
find?
right. It's really busy, and it's only going to get busier. And
Yeah.
so being the same is going to be being lost in the woods. And so you now have 2 people that you can bring into your corner and come and talk to and join us at our page, and really ask the questions and consider us a resource for you, because we want to help you move down that path of exploration.
If you engage us, we will engage you back.
Yes, that's right. And so I want to wrap up a little bit why we chose what we chose. Sometimes, and now that we're going to have to, this will probably become a common theme, I tell you what, we're going to choose really big topics and try and break them down, and it will be a little bit hard, but at the same point in time, you're seeing how big these topics are as we talk about them, and how many different levels that there are, and many different ways that you can go. And so hopefully you take away, when we're talking about engaging selectively and participating fully and being an expert, and where to be an expert and where to be a generalist, you actually take a few things away from you that you can, over the next couple of days, see what you're doing in your business that you might be able to tweak just a little bit. You don't need to spend a lot of extra time. You don't have to learn anything new. But if you take something away that you could change a little bit, whether it's an attitude, whether it's an opportunity, whether it's a task, that little thing might make all the difference in your world, and let bigger, better ideas of where you're going to go in the sea of everybody on social media and everybody on the internet to allow you to be your true, authentic self, and to be okay with doing the hard work.
Man, you didn't tell us that there's going to be an assignment. Okay, I promise I'll try and do that, Jess. And we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do next week. So
yes, we will.
We'll do that in the next few days, and hopefully people will be back again this time next week, and we will see them then, right?
That's right.
Actually,
that's right. Stay tuned.
Actually, they'll see us, but we'll eventually, we can invite them in, so eventually we'll be able to see them as well. Maybe
that's right.
A better way of phrasing it.
I think you're so funny. You're so literal. Yes, we'll see you all proverbially next week. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Jess. Oh,